What up? So here's a greatsword guide for the first Beserker Khazan. This is a weapon on my initial run. I didn't use a whole lot. I think it feels kind of bad early on until you get a few things unlocked and have some more stamina and stuff like that. So first we'll go over the skill tree and kind of see things that I think are important early. The swift attack charging combos I think is at least early on going to be something you really want to lean into. So, what this allows us to do, we have our normal attack. From neutral, this attack is extremely slow. If you just try to go from neutral and hit square on an enemy, more likely than not, you're going to get punished. So, the a better way to kind of like engage is going to be a dodging attack. This dodging attack comes out really fast, and you're obviously dodging, so you are avoiding damage while you're getting ready to initiate the attack. Then what the swift attack charge does is it allows you to charge the combo, the follow-up combo on your attack. So one of the next passives is going to be coming into it after the dodge like that. So it allows you to oops, not what I meant to do. So it allows you to get some good damage in and initiate without that slow neutral startup, which just straight up gets you punished. Also, you can transition that into a heavy attack combo. So this is going to be your charged heavy attack off of a light heavy combo. And you can initiate that in multiple ways. So you can come in, do the charge, and then do the charge on this. Like I said earlier in my previous guide, Greatsword is heavily revolved around charging attacks. Just make sure you're not charging from neutral. The one way you can charge from neutral is using the skill. If I can find where it is. No, don't reset skills. Ghost Arm, which I think is over here. So Ghost Arm block. This is one of the most crucial skills. You see how I lift my arm up? That allows you to block when you're trying to charge your heavy attacks. So you're going to have lots of instances where you're trying to get this big charged heavy attack in. You're going to see the enemy come down with an attack, and you can kind of interrupt them. And there are some passives and even a couple really cool gear sets that lean into this a little bit more. Mortal Blow, this is basically, these are still just kind of what show what I just did. So these allow you to do that follow-up with the heavy attack. This is Mortal Blow, extremely powerful. Next thing we want to look at, obviously like these are just kind of nice to have, all of these passives that decrease the time it takes to charge and increases the damage you do and stuff like that, and decreases the damage you take. Another aspect the Greatsword really leans into is the ability to stun enemies. So there are a couple like hidden skills or set bonus specific skills that can do this, but also there's this. Now at first this might seem kind of worthless, but what this does is sets you up. So this will stun the enemy or even stun bosses for, a couple of seconds. And there is a set bonus, I can't remember the name of it, but it's one of the hidden skills you get that makes, it's this here, Titanic Descent Earthquake or something like that, that does the same thing. So when you do Titanic Descent, it basically like, lifts the ground up with blood or whatever the hell it is and stuns the enemy. So utilize this to set you up for your big dick damage, or you can utilize it to set you up for other skills and really just, combo the hell out of your enemies. Need to get my skills back or my fury back. The next, I think, most important skill, and something that's like really cool about the Greatsword, Armor Breaker and Counter Strike. So like I mentioned earlier, every skill, every weapon I should say, has this counter attack type of a skill. With the Greatsword, you can actually do it after a normal guard. However, you get a very enhanced version if you do it after a brink guard. And that's going to be, I think, one of the best ways to kind of approach bosses. Brink guard and then set up with that follow-up. I don't have an enemy here to show it, do I? No, I don't. Okay. But brink guard and then do your follow-up. Brink guard, do your follow-up. And when you get the time, you get Heart Piercer, which again just deals stupid damage. So boom, 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 and then in and out. That's going to be kind of, you know, you can see everything here, or a lot of the things here are built around charging attacks, are built around counter attacks, and then there's Counter Strike itself, which is probably possibly the best, one of the best. I shouldn't say the best. There's a couple really, really strong moves you get in New Game Plus. One of the best moves in the game, hands down. It's the same timing as a Brink Guard, and it knocks the enemy back, it stuns them, it deals a shitload of stamina damage. Slam, you repeat the input. That's an okay follow-up. I think this one's a little bit better because you can actually go straight into Heart Piercer from it and Armor Breaker. So being able to go into Armor Breaker and Heart Piercer off of that is just insanely big stamina damage and insanely big just regular HP damage as well. Some of the other skills I like, I don't know where everything is here. I'm kind of the Phantom one, I just think Ferocious Swipe is really cool. It's one of the only ways that you have to really like get in and close the distance on an enemy quickly. So again, we talked about how this is slow and how this gets you in quickly. This is just an enhanced version of that. And there is a passive as well that allows you to follow up from it. So, you know, you can kind of get your combos going. And you can do your light and heavy charge combos off of it. So, let me get more fury. And you can take that straight into your charged attacks as well. You can't combo this guy into it, unfortunately, Mortal Blow, but it's still a really, really nice skill. Phantom's Night Veil, I think this is just a lot of fun. It's not super powerful, but it is a great AoE, and again, just a really good, like, kind of get off me type of a move. As far as gear sets go, I really like Chaos. I like this skill a lot. There are, you know, basically any set that has a unique, we'll go to the crevice and kind of look at some of the craftable gear sets, but basically any set that has a unique skill that you think is cool is, you know, valuable to use. I don't really recommend crafting these too much in the first new game run. It's just so hard to keep them upgraded, and you're eventually going to want to get to the orange rarity and then in New Game Plus 2 the yellow rarity. So I really waited to craft too much until I was able to get into New Game Plus. But Flesh Ripper is really good. It gives an enhanced Limit Break Apex move. There's Chaos Ridden. There's also, you know, regular kind of just decent sets. Stamina damage increase, stamina damage received, guard stamina damage that you can use. Devourer of Darkness gives an enhanced ghost arm block, which is really, really good. But any of these like basic sets, especially if you're kind of like playing around with different weapons, are all, you know, totally fine to use. Health recovery increase, unscathed damage. Another nice thing about Chaos is you get your Brink guards give you health and fury, and it increases your damage. So when you're really leaning into this, the Armor Breaker and Heart Piercer, every time you're using the skill, you're increasing the damage you're doing. Every time you use the skill, you're getting health back if you don't have any health. And you're also getting more fury charges, which allow you to unleash your kind of like heavier damage skills like Counter Strike or Volcanic Wrath or Phantom Night Veil or whatever you want to increase. So at first this weapon feels really slow. It feels kind of bad. It doesn't feel great. Um, I really didn't use it at all pretty much until New Game Plus, just because I really didn't like the not having a lot of skills for it. I didn't like not having a lot of stamina for it. It's not the most complex weapon in the world. When you look at something like the dual wield, you really have a lot of creative freedom in how you, not a lot. This game doesn't have a ton of depth or like creative freedom in general, but you at least have the ability to be kind of aggressive, jumping around, dodging around. So again, just to kind of recap, don't initiate from neutral. You always want to initiate from this or from this. Those are going to be your best ways to kind of initiate combat. It's a charged attack type of weapon, so you're going to want to lean into these moves here where you can charge your light attacks or where you can charge these heavy attacks. Those are going to be your biggest damage dealers. Ghost Arm, very, very strong skill and can save you. I don't know, I'm charging too much. Very, very strong skill if you're charging and you're about to get wrecked. This is the only thing in the game that lets you like cancel out of an attack pretty much in any way. The one thing you can cancel any attack into, you can cancel any skill into, is your brutal attacks or the critical attacks. So keep that in mind, like when I'm getting ready to do a crit on an enemy, you can run skills like this and cancel a lot of it pretty much at any time. Even if you're on the downward swipe and there's like, 0.5% of that little red circle left, you can cancel a lot of it into the crit. So make sure you are taking advantage of those windows and you are doing as much damage as you can. Aside from charge attacks, you have multiple skills that allow you to stun the enemy. And while the enemy's getting stunned, you can set yourself up for big charged attacks. You can set yourself up for another skill, whatever you want to do. And then the kind of like bread and butter is going to be deflect counter builds, or deflect counter play styles like Heart Piercer and Armor Breaker that allow you to keep damage up in between the enemy's combos, in between the boss's combos. And if you're using something like the Chaos set, you're getting damage, health, and fury or spirit charges while you're doing it. So again, like I wish there was kind of more like tech and like hidden mechanics to go into in this game, but that's just not the nature of the first Berserk Khazan. But even though it's a simpler combat system, it is a very fun and a very, very brutal, just kind of like, it has a lot of that character action game DNA in it. That really just gives it that flashy and that savage nature. Warcry can be good if you feel like you need a lot of defense. I don't feel like I need a lot of defense at the moment, but if you're somebody who likes to just kind of like spam your charged attacks and hit trade, Warcry is very good. Breakthroughs, okay, it is a good like, close the distance move. And then like I said, Titanic Descent's good, but I prefer Phantom Knight's Veil. If I'm using, I can't remember the name of the set, but the set that gives you Titanic Descent, Earthquake, obviously I use that instead of this. But there's basically 3 skills that do the exact same thing where you just kind of like, there's Giant Hunt too, where you just kind of like slam down on the enemy. The big difference is Giant Hunt Leap. You can get that kind of like stun. Again, it like leans into stunning while you're going about it, but it's not super, I just prefer Phantom Veil and not to have 3 skills on my bar that are doing the exact same thing. Stats, like I said in my previous video, I'm not really like, scaling isn't worth it, at least yet in this game. I really feel like once the DLCs come out, we will get specific affixes or set bonuses or something of that nature that will increase the scaling of certain weapons. But at this point, that doesn't really exist. Proficiency's good, stamina damage increase. Like I have a 47% stamina damage increase. That's huge, right? 175% stamina recovery is huge. However, early game, you're really going to want to build into endurance and probably vitality more so than any other build, I will say strength is important, not for scaling, but for agility. The Chaos Ridden set's pretty, it's not very heavy, but there are a lot of sets that pair really well with the greatsword that are just heavy as shit. And having a agility is just very nice to have. At least be agility while using this item here, the Vitality Spear. Be agility with the spear makes it manageable. At least once you get to the point where you have like a good amount of stamina recovery, I would say at least like 150 stamina recovery, and you know, a fairly good dodge and guard decrease. I'm only at 30 guard decrease, which is fine because you're typically perfect guarding anyways, which really doesn't use a lot. So strength, I think, is very important if you're running a great sword and running some of those heavy sets, but not because of scaling, but it's because you want to make sure to have B, A agility if possible. Endurance, I'm working on getting my endurance up a little bit now just so I have some more stamina. I'm in New Game Plus. My damage is fine with 50 in every stat. Like in my first run, it took me a while to kill bosses. Boss fights were like 5, 6, 6, 7 minutes long sometimes, just ridiculous. Now in 30 seconds, I'm just shitting all over them because you get really powerful skills, you have multipliers, you have fixes, you have a ton of ways to increase damage instead of, you know, pumping a stat for shitty B scaling. So yeah, that's kind of greatsword. The dual wield guide will have a little bit more kind of not really tech but cool interactions that I found that no other weapon really can do, and kind of just like fun ways to combo. But yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.